My brother smiled when he told me he was going to use my savings to close his biggest business deal. He had no idea that by the time he opened my bank account, there would be nothing left for him to take. The moment he saw the balance, his face changed completely. Then my mother looked at me and demanded to know where the money had gone. I placed a revoked power of attorney on the dinner table and calmly told them the truth. They had given my brother access to my money, but they had forgotten one thing. I had already taken control of it. My name is Vanessa Sutton. I was 38 years old, living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and running Northgate Life Safety, a company I had built from the ground up. I had 31 employees, 6 service vehicles, and contracts across 2 states. My parents called me the responsible daughter, but what they really meant was that they expected me to handle everything myself. My younger brother, Derek, was treated completely differently. His risks were called ambition. His mistakes were called learning experiences. His financial problems were family emergencies. When I once asked my parents for an $18,000 loan to buy another company truck, I offered interest and a repayment plan. They refused. 2 years later, they gave Derek $55,000 for a real estate project and proudly called it an investment in his future. That became the family pattern. I saved, planned, and built. Derek borrowed, gambled, and expected everyone to believe in his next big idea. Once he borrowed one of my company trucks and returned it badly damaged, costing thousands to repair. My mother still asked me not to pressure him because his project was already struggling. Eventually, I realized something painful. The more responsible I became, the more my family believed they were entitled to use me. Years earlier, after a serious car accident left me facing surgery, my attorney had recommended a durable financial power of attorney. I named my parents because I trusted them. The document allowed them to handle my finances if I became unable to do so. It was meant to protect me during a crisis. It was never permission to give my money to Derek. I recovered and went back to work, but I forgot to revoke that document. Years later, I had $236,000 in personal savings. Every dollar had a purpose. I was preparing to purchase an 11,000 square foot building for Northgate. Most of my savings would become the down payment and closing costs. Derek had a different plan for my money. He wanted to transform an old warehouse into a luxury business space called the Mercer Room. The idea sounded impressive, but he did not have enough capital to close the deal. His lender required $215,000 from him. Derek had only $29,000. Instead of walking away, my mother remembered the power of attorney. She went to my bank, activated her access, changed the security information, and gave Derek the login details. He connected his company to my account and scheduled a transfer for $198,000. Then he went even further. The lender wanted a letter proving that I had agreed to invest. My mother originally signed a document as my agent, but Derek altered it. He removed the information showing that my mother had signed on my behalf and copied my signature from an old business contract. Suddenly, it looked like I had personally promised to invest nearly $200,000. I had never agreed to any of it. Then my bank alerted me. I was leaving a hospital inspection when my phone warned me that a new device had accessed my financial profile. Another notification showed that Derek's company had been linked to my account. I called the bank immediately. The branch manager confirmed everything. My mother had activated the power of attorney and a transfer was waiting. I told them to freeze everything. Then I called my attorney, Leah Coulson. Her advice was simple. Do not confront them yet. Secure the evidence first. I revoked the power of attorney and transferred my entire $236,000 into a new account. The old account stayed frozen so every login, device, and transaction record could be preserved. Then Leah contacted Derek's lender and told them the truth. I was not an investor. I had not authorized my bank statement to be used. I had never signed the contribution letter. That evening, my mother invited me to dinner. They were celebrating Derek's closing. They had no idea what I was bringing with me. Champagne was already open when I arrived. My father raised his glass and announced that the Mercer Room was finally becoming a reality. My mother explained that they had given Derek access to my savings as temporary bridge funding. Derek smiled and promised I would get every dollar back with interest. Then he opened the banking app. The screen loaded. $0. He refreshed it once. Then again, nothing. Changed. My mother demanded to know where the money had gone. Placed the revoked power of attorney on the table. told her they had given Derek access to my account. But they had made one very important mistake. They forgot that I could still protect myself. My father accused me of moving family money. I looked directly at him and said, "It was never family money. It was mine." Derek stood up and said his closing was the next morning. I told him a business deal that depended on unauthorized access to someone else's savings was never properly funded. Then I placed the bank records on the table. The transfer request was for $198,000. My mother stared at Derek. She had agreed to $150. Derek admitted he had increased the amount because the project needed furniture, marketing, reserves, and other expenses. Then I placed the second document on the table, the forged capital contribution letter. Derek's girlfriend, Camille, looked at the signature and asked if it was mine. Said no. My mother admitted she had originally signed the document as my agent. Then I explained exactly what Derek had done. He had removed her name and replaced her authority with my copied signature. My father looked at Derek and asked whether he had altered the document. Derek said the lender needed a cleaner version. That was the moment Camille finally understood. I told them the lender already knew I had never agreed to the investment. Derek looked at me and said I had destroyed his future. I looked back at him and said, "No, I protected mine." The next morning, the lender walked away. The Mercer Room deal collapsed before closing, and Derek lost most of the $40,000 deposit. My parents were left responsible for the home equity loan they had taken to help him. Derek called me repeatedly, telling me I had ruined years of his work over money he would have eventually returned. I saved every message and gave them to my attorney. I never exposed my family online. I never tried to embarrass them. I simply made sure they could never touch my finances again. My parents lost every authorization and every ability to access my accounts. Derek was no longer allowed to use my company name, vehicles, employees, or documents for his projects. Some relatives accused me of choosing money over my own brother. I said nothing. 3 weeks later, I signed the closing papers for Northgate's new 11,000 square foot facility. The same savings my family believed were available for Derek became the foundation of my company's next chapter. That money was never sitting around waiting to be borrowed, it was waiting. For me, my father eventually sent me a letter. He admitted that he knew I had never agreed to give Derek the money. He said he simply believed I would forgive them because I always had before. That was the part that hurt the most, because he was right. I had forgiven them too many times. My mother still said her intentions were good. I told her something I wish I had understood years earlier. Good intentions do not require secret passwords, unauthorized access, or a forged signature. My family thought being the responsible daughter meant I would always clean up their mistakes. They were wrong. They thought they were giving Derek the keys to my future. What they did not realize was that by the time he reached for the door, I had already changed the locks. So tell me honestly, if someone in your family secretly tried to take nearly $200,000 from your savings, would you quietly move the money like I did, or would you confront them first? I want to know what you would have done. And if this story reminded you that protecting your money does not make you selfish, share it with someone who needs to hear that.